I'm Sunny, your host, and this is Sleepy Time Meadows, and I'm so perfectly delighted to spend these last, quiet, unhurried moments with you. To be sharing this safe and dreamy time, where in just a few unhurried moments, we'll be off to visit our dearest friend Clara, and perhaps during that visit, your eyes will get very heavy and the rush of the day will gently float far away. And you'll be gathered up into a deeply restful sleep. So let's begin by snuggling down somewhere soft and warm, and wherever you are and whenever you're ready, let your head become heavy against your pillow, and even your arms and hands need to rest, and let them do that wherever they feel the happiest. And perhaps pull the blanket a little closer around you. Now then, I think we're just about ready. So let's take a lovely, slow breath in. Deep breathing is our body's and mind's best friend, and when you're ready, gently exhale. And let everything, everyone, and everywhere drift away as you become incredibly light. Nothing is keeping you stuck or heavy. And let's take another soft breath in. And then just gently let it out again. And as you continue these beautiful deep breaths, just remember there is absolutely nowhere else we need to be, and nothing more that we need to hurry toward. Now let's just consider for a moment your heart. And I know this is a wee bit unusual, but if we truly want to be the kindest to ourselves, that's the most perfect place to start. As we continue with our long, slow breathing in and long, slow breaths out, you're going to find a rhythm that's just perfect for you. And as you're doing that, let's gently bring your attention to your chest area. And as you take another one of those wonderfully slow breaths, imagine a beautiful, warm space opening in the center of your chest. And if you'd like, you can place your hands over your heart and simply feel the warmth of your own hands gently resting there. Let it become a soft, peaceful, and safe space with each breath. And if you can, let that space open just a little bit more. Now, let's place a few tender, loving thoughts in our beautiful, open heart space. Perhaps you'd like to put the warmth of the morning sunlight in that space, or the feeling of the comfort of something soft around you, or maybe the quietness of a beautiful vision of a flower gently opening just for you. Or simply the tender feeling of being here in this moment. Let each thought nestle softly into your heart. No effort and no expectations. Just a little more warmth, a little more peace, and certainly a little more love. Now, just before we go and find Clara, make yourself as comfortable as possible, because there's absolutely no hurry where we're going. Let your head settle into the pillow, and if your eyes would like to close, you can let them, because this is your time in your safe and peaceful space. Take one more slow breath in through your nose and feel the air filling your chest. And then gently let it all go. Because somewhere beyond the noise and the busyness of everything else, morning is just beginning at Clara's old house, the Ashcroft Manor. The sky outside her bedroom window is the palest shades of lavender, with hints of pink and with golden light rays beginning to wake everything up. The fields beyond the gardens are tucked beneath a thick blanket of mist, and the old trees are barely moving in the cool morning air. Clara is awake, but she hasn't opened her eyes yet. But mind you, she's very aware, because something warm and furry is pressed firmly against her cheek. It's a delicate feeling, even delightful, and she wants a few more seconds just to enjoy it. She opens one eye and then the other, and then sighs out the name of her favorite cat, Oscar. The very large ginger cat was sprawled lengthways across the pillow with his back against Clara's face. And apparently, having decided sometime during the night, sharing pillows has become an important virtue. Clara slowly lifts one hand from beneath the blanket and lays it against his side. His fur is wonderfully warm and wonderfully soft from sleep as she runs her fingers slowly through it, feeling the soft thickness beneath her fingertips. And then she gently scratches behind one of his velvet ears. And Oscar's purr begins almost immediately. A low rumble that Clara can feel through the pillow. Yes, good morning to you too. And as if on cue, at the bottom of the bed, one of Clara's 4 dogs stretches. First, the front paws slide forward, then the back legs straighten, and finally comes a tremendous yawn, which wakes up another dog on the rug, and then another beside the fireplace, and the smallest of the 4, who has somehow managed to sleep beneath Clara's dressing gown, emerges with a huge yawn, looking mildly surprised to discover that the morning has happened yet again. And then Clara smiles, looking at all of her furry friends. Well then, I suppose we'd better greet it. This is something Clara does every morning, and if you're going to spend these mornings with her, you'll soon become used to it. Clara believes that every new day should be properly welcomed as she pushes back the blankets and places her bare feet onto the rug. The wool rug feels worn, but still slightly rough beneath her feet. And Oscar, seeing a wonderful opportunity, immediately occupies the warm place that she just left behind. Clara slips into her dressing gown and pushes her feet into her well-worn, soft slippers and walks slowly toward the tall window. Her 4 best friends follow along in a sleepy procession, and as they gather around, she draws one curtain aside and then another, and soft morning light spills across the room. Clara unlatches the window with a tiny metallic click, then a faint wooden creak as she pushes it outward. And the cool air rushes in and embraces her face. She closes her eyes for just a moment and breathes it in. Can you feel it with her, that first cool breath of the morning, before the sun has warmed anything properly yet? It smells faintly of damp grass and leaves, and somewhere, carried on the slightest breeze, wood smoke. Perhaps drifting by from the huge Aga stove in the kitchen, being lit by cook. Clara rests both hands on the windowsill, taking in the beautiful morning landscape. As a little cold bead of condensation touches the side of her finger, she gazes across the sleepy garden, beyond into the fields, disappearing into the mist, and she smiles. Good morning, darling day. And just as she says that, a robin calls from somewhere below. Clara tilts her head, and good morning to you too. And then another bird answers from one of the old trees. Oh my, Clara says, everyone is already awake. And then from somewhere behind her comes a soft thump as Oscar's jumped from the bed. He walks toward Clara with his tail held high. He winds once around her ankles and then sits directly on top of her left slipper. Oscar, darling, I require that foot today. And Oscar simply looks up, not realizing there's anything to fuss about. She bends slowly down and scoops him up into her arms. Oscar really is a very large cat. His body's heavy, but it feels so warm against her. And Clara presses her cheek briefly against the top of his head. His fur smells faintly of warmth and sleep, the way cats somehow always do first thing in the morning. She strokes him once from behind his ears all the way down his back, feeling his spine gently beneath the thick fur, and the vibration of his purr against her palm. And then she carefully puts him down on the wool rug. Come along, she says to all her furry friends. Let's go visit Cook in the kitchen first, so then we can get out to the garden and see what it's been doing without us. A little while later, Clara comes downstairs wearing an old cream blouse, a soft brown cardigan, and her long, comfortable wool skirt. It's by far one of her favorites. They have much work to do in the garden. But at Ashcroft Manor, things don't rush. So everyone sits quietly in the kitchen and enjoys their designated breakfasts and then Clara has a second cup of hot tea. Now then, as she looks around at everyone, I think perhaps we're ready. Clara notices with a slight feeling of satisfaction how smoothly worn her garden shoes are, and then she places a faded straw hat neatly on top of her head as little Pip, a tan and white Jack Russell, the cheeriest if not the most energetic of all the dogs, watches with great interest. "Don't say it, Pip," Clara said, all the while Pip's tail taps a rhythm on the floor. "I happen to like this hat." And Oscar walks past without looking at her. You see, Clara's gardening hat, perhaps if you were standing there gazing at it, looks somewhat crumpled, a fair bit worn, with stray pieces of straw endearingly escaping from the weave. Now maybe someone else would be able to just throw it away, but after its many years of service and the memories that filled her heart every time she wore it, Clara simply couldn't imagine a sunny day working in the garden without it. She opens the back door of the kitchen and the 4 dogs spill out. Now, of course, Pip is the first one out and already down the yard. Little Fern, the corgi pup, is closing in on Pip, but the 2 more elderly dogs are much more composed. Auntie Hetty, the copper-colored bloodhound, carefully carrying Clara's gardening gloves as she always does, goes a little way in front of Bramble, who is the oldest of the crew, as he slowly, but with great dignity of a country gent, brings up the rear. Of course, today, Oscar decides to follow much more slowly. He paused on the threshold and considered the weather, and after apparently approving it was a good enough day, he slowly saunters out. The stone beneath Clara's gardening shoes is cool and slightly damp. She sits on the old bench beside the kitchen door and carefully rearranges her apron. The dogs are all ahead now, wandering through the grass, noses down, collecting all the important overnight news. And Oscar has found a patch of early morning sunlight and is sitting underneath of it with his eyes almost closed, his head's reaching up toward the sun like a little ginger sunflower. Clara watches him contently as he gently closes his eyes completely. And then she's up, swinging her old wicker basket that she just retrieved hanging from its wooden peg where it lived when it's not helping to carry flowers. But today, it's going to help carry the harvest from the humble yet overflowing kitchen garden. Clara is going to be collecting all of the carrots, beets, and the cabbage. A very ambitious effort because autumn is fast approaching, and these delightful vegetables need to be gathered up, brought into the kitchen to cook, and turned into the most exciting of things. Pickled beets and cabbage, but some of the cabbage and carrots need to be packed and put in the cold cellar for the winter. And some of the carrots will be made into a decadent carrot cake with the creamiest and smoothest sweet frosting. And she's invited us to come along. There's lots of room on the path as Clara walks slowly, the basket resting against her hip as it always does, and her 4 best friends wandering somewhere ahead. And Oscar, however slowly, he follows along at his own pace behind. And then he disappears beneath a plant and emerges somewhere entirely different, as cats tend to do. And the garden, it's waking up properly now. The dew rests in tiny round droplets along the leaves. A spider web stretched between two stems is catching the morning light, and every fine and delicate thread is decorated with silver watery droplets. Clara stops to look, and of course she does. Oh, aren't you clever? And perhaps we should stop too. There's no reason not to. Look at how the tiny drops of water cling gently to the web, and notice how the sun catches them, making the tiniest of rainbows. And somewhere nearby, a bee has begun its day's work, moving happily from flower to flower with a soft, steady hum. And as Clara passes the lavender, which is almost ready to fall gently asleep for the long winter, Clara reaches down and lets her fingertips brush across the tops. The stems bend beneath them, but then they spring gently upright again. As she lifts her fingers to her nose, lavender, Clara sighs, green and purple, sweet and clean. Just lovely, and she rubs her thumb against her fingertips, releasing a little more of that beautiful smell. At the vegetable garden, Clara lifts the old iron latch, and it feels cool against her fingers. As she opens the wooden gate, it gives its familiar squeak. "Good morning, everyone," Clara says. And you've probably noticed that Clara likes to talk to her vegetables. In fact, she talks to all of her plants, and even sometimes her old straw hat. It's one of Clara's most endearing qualities. As she sets the wicker basket down beside the carrot bed and gently kneels carefully onto the earth. Her apron and skirt settles around her knees, and she places one hand against the soil. It's still cool from the night. It's slightly damp and beautifully soft. Clara pushes her fingertips into the dark earth. It gently gathers around her hands as it presses against her skin. And she takes a little bit between her fingers and rubs it slowly, and it crumbles apart so easily. "That's nice," Clara said, "because the earth is richly filled with everything it needs to grow the healthiest of vegetables." Oscar appears beside her and sniffs the soil. "Do you agree, Oscar?" But he ignores Clara and steps directly into that empty basket. Apparently not. Clara smiles and reaches for the first carrot. Its green, feathery leaves are cool with dew. She gathers them gently in one hand, but she doesn't pull it out quite yet. First, she uses the trowel in her other hand to loosen the soil underneath. Slowly and gently she presses down. The earth is cool around her fingertips as she works around one side of the carrot and then the other, gently breaking the soil away. And now she gently wraps her fingers around the carrot tops very close to their base. One slow pull. But at first the carrot holds tightly beneath the ground. So Clara rocks it very slightly, a little to the left and then a little to the right, and then another gentle pull, and the tiny roots release with the smoothest of motions. And suddenly, the carrot slides free. Clara sits back and looks at it. It's long and orange and wonderfully crooked, still covered in the damp earth. "Well, look at you," she exclaims, and she runs her thumb down the one side as the soil falls away and crumbles onto her apron. She brings the carrot a little closer and breathes it in. There's a fresh, earthy smell, damp and green and slightly sweet. Clara lays it carefully in the basket beside Oscar, and Oscar sniffs it. Then Clara explains to Oscar if he's to remain in the basket, he will shortly be covered in fresh dirt, smelling much of vegetables. All the while she's hoping that he decides he'd rather find somewhere else to rest. So she chooses another carrot, and with her trowel she begins to loosen the soil, and then she gathers the leaves and a gentle pull, and this one comes free more easily, and then another, and then another. There's a rhythm to it after all. Loosen, pull, brush, basket. Loosen, pull, brush, basket. No rush, no reason whatsoever to hurry. She simply has the whole day to get it all done. The four friends, done with the investigation of last evening, have started to settle nearby now. Little Fern lies in the sunshine with her chin against the warm earth. Pip, who never seems to sleep too much, has all eyes on a butterfly, and Auntie Hetty and Bramble have curled together beside the warm brick wall. And Oscar, he's finally decided the wicker basket is unquestionably not a place for a cat with any moral standing. Although he would have stayed, but having so uneloquently been made to share it with dirt-covered carrots, he decides to amble over to Little Fern. Next come the beets. Clara moves along the bed and runs her fingers over the broad, red, ruby, and green leaves. They're smoother than the carrot tops. Most of the beets are already pushing their round purple shoulders above the earth, ready to be picked. Clara wraps her fingers around the stem. She rocks it gently and the soil loosens, and then she pulls, and with a pop only beets can give, out it comes. Round and heavy in her hand, its long, thin root dangles beneath it. Clara brushes the loose earth away. Some of it sticks to the lines of her palms, but that's okay, because she likes the feeling of soil on her hands. And she likes knowing exactly where her breakfast, lunch, and supper begin. Row upon row of beets, but of course she doesn't have room for it all to fit into the basket, especially when she gets to the cabbage. So she begins to lay the beet harvest neatly on the stone path right beside the garden. And when she's all finished, she'll come back with the very large wheelbarrow. And finally, Clara comes to the cabbages. Great round heads sit nestled inside layers of pale green leaves. This year, she grew purple cabbages, and she's already congratulated herself on how well it went. They grew into the most brilliant colored and largest cabbages she's ever seen. No wonder the butterflies are drawn to them. They're simply beautiful. She places both hands around one of the green ones. She's going to start with them first. The outside leaves are cool and slightly waxy beneath her palms, with little beads of dew gathering in the folds, making little ponds. She runs one fingertip along the edge of the leaf and the droplets roll onto her hand. Clara smiles as she takes her little garden knife out of her very large apron pocket. She carefully cuts through the thick stalk and lifts the cabbage gently. Cabbages are heavier than they look. They're solid and strong. The leaves give a wonderful soft rustling sound as she carries it, and she places this cabbage nestled neatly beside the beets. The colors of the bright green cabbage leaves and the dark red of the beets is a wonderful thing to look at. Who would have thought there'd be so many colors just in vegetables? Clara rocks back on her heels for a moment. Her hands are covered in dirt, and she just listens. Clara is a great believer in just listening. All around her are the wonderful quiet sounds of morning, the low hum of insects, leaves moving gently overhead, one of the dogs breathing deeply as they take their morning after breakfast nap. And somewhere beyond the garden, a horse nickers softly, and Clara's eyes close. She just breathes in and listens. The damp earth, the gentle breeze, the morning dew, freshly harvested carrots and beets. But she can smell lemon balm and rosemary starting to warm in the sunshine. Clara smiles, and perhaps just for a moment, we can imagine it too. There's only a garden, a basket of freshly pulled vegetables, 4 napping dogs, and 1 extremely satisfied cat. That's a lovely thing to imagine. Clara returns to the cabbages, this time gathering all the gloriously large purple ones. And eventually, after many hours, she's rather satisfied with today's work. Clara slowly brushes the loose dirt from her skirt and her apron. She lifts the basket and pauses at the little gate, as she always does when she's finished in the garden. Clara looks back. "Thank you," she states as her heart fills with gratitude. Perhaps the garden hears her, and perhaps it doesn't. But if you were to ask Clara, she would state rather confidently that it most certainly does. She closes the gate softly behind her. Her 4 friends wake up gently, and they all begin their leisurely journey back toward the house. Oscar's walking beside Clara now, and he occasionally brushes his warm side against her leg. The basket is pleasantly heavy against her arm. Carrots and beets bump softly together as she walks, and the cabbage rests gently on top, along with a little rosemary Clara picked simply because it smelled so good. And let's walk back with her slowly, step by step, along the old path, feeling the morning sun, listening to the bees, letting your fingers brush across the lavender as you pass. There'll be time to fetch the wheelbarrow and gather the cabbages and wash all of the vegetables later. And as Clara's going to do all of those things, she's going to think of all the delicious things her and Cook will make with them. But right now, it's time for tea, perhaps with a few small herb-buttered sandwiches on the terrace under the great oak. Clara thinks that sounds just about right, as she simply walks back to the kitchen through her garden with all of her best friends. Oscar at her heels, a basket filled with things the earth has so beautifully provided. As she stops once when a small butterfly settles on the flower beside the path. "Good day, darling little one," Clara whispers. whispers, and the butterfly slowly opens and closes its wings, and Clara smiles. "Aren't you lovely?" And then she carries on toward the kitchen, leaving the garden warm and quiet behind her as it grows perhaps a little bit more before tomorrow's visit from Clara.